All right, all right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Friday Night Live lighting critique here at the Academy of Animated Art. My name is Mike Tanzillo, and I am going to be taking you through your lighting critique this evening. We've got a lot of great images. Let's see. We are live here on Zoom and on Facebook. So you guys know the drill. As we go through this, I'll be doing some critiques, but I'll also be checking the chat window, the comment section on Facebook. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Couple housekeeping things before we get started. First off, this is our 13th week of quarantine, Monday, Wednesday, Friday work. Just a heads up, next week will be our last. My wife is 35 weeks pregnant now. And so we are going to be expecting our daughter soon. So I'm going to be prepping for that. So that means I'm rolling back on these. When we launch these, I was expecting to do them for about 6 or 8 weeks. Like I said, we've got 13 weeks. If you haven't seen what we've been up to, we've got everything posted over on our YouTube channel. This week we had a lot of great content. Wednesday, we had a sit down with one of my favorite people in the animation industry. It's Brandon May. Him and I started together as render wranglers. Brandon has gone on to work on a dozen movies, a bunch with me at Blue Sky, including some Ice Age movies, Rios, Peanuts, Ferdinand. He then went to Sony. He worked on Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania 3. And his latest film, he worked for Braun Animation up in Vancouver, where he worked on the Willoughbys. So great talk with him. Like I said, you can find that over on our YouTube channel. And let's see what else. And yeah, we just had a great talk about what it's like to work in Vancouver. So he had some tips for those that are just getting started in the industry, people looking for advice on how to work with reference images. He's a very, very good artist and a very talented guy. So, all right, without much further ado, I'm going to get my face off the screen so we can start looking at some of your guys' beautiful images. As always, I try to prioritize those that are online right now. So if you're here, like I said, drop some highs, how are yous in the chat windows and comment box, and I will make sure to hit you first. So let me change my name on here. I always do this because we have a shared account. My name is not Jasmine Katatikarn. My name is Mike Tanzillo. Daniel Schmucker. Hi there, buddy. All right, great. So we will start there. Dan was the first one to say hi. So we will go to, let's share the screen first, and then I'll pull that in. So Daniel had a great, whoa. Instead of sharing my screen, I almost just ended the meeting. Sorry about that. So Daniel had a really, a lovely demo reel submission. Really great stuff. I do think there's some areas that we can improve upon it, but overall, I think it's really great. So I opened up here in Sync Sketch, and away we go. Oh, turn down the volume here. Okay, and now what I'm going to do here, what I like to do with these is I like to just kind of talk about them the way that I would look at them if I was in a review room. So what am I noticing first? What are things that I am drawn to? What are things that I'm wishing I see? And I'll talk a little bit about the lighting of the individual shots, but mostly on the structure of the demo reel itself, because that's what you have most control over at this point. I always talk about the title card because it is a very important thing. It's a first impression. Love this setup. Beautiful images, simple, got your name. What are you applying for? What do you do? And contact information. Right out of the gate, perfect. Okay, so this is a good shot. I am interested, but sneaking a peek ahead, this is not your strongest piece. So I think we can add something else earlier in the process. In terms of the overall setup, I am, like, it's nice to have the name of the project down here. You can include the software if you want. That doesn't sway me one way or the other. Tools is the only one that kind of throws me off here. And it's nice to put in your contribution, but I just don't know, like, tools is very general. So with this one, I think this is a lovely breakdown. I love that element of it. I think that's working out well. I would almost, because it's pretty different than the concept art. Like, on the surface, it's pretty much the same, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's not really the same. The biggest one is the structure of this midground. Here, it's all silhouetted, versus here, you're getting a lot of value in there. And I totally get it that things shift throughout a production process and things do change. But unless it's like a closer match, I would actually kind of leave that one out for now. So that'd be my advice there. This is a fun project. Same thing with this one. Like these, it's nice to include the reference that you're using, but in reality, the aesthetic, some of the aesthetic qualities that make Feast a unique project aren't necessarily translating into what we're seeing. This actually looks more like the sequence in Zootopia when they're inside the ice cream shop to me. Like lots of lifted shadows, where this one, it's all super graphic shadows, like very sharp lines. And we're not, and also the shadows get pretty dark. And we're actually not seeing that there. The shadows are very soft and everything's very lifted. So it's a little bit different than that. I do really, really love the look of it, and I love this buildup. I don't necessarily think that you need these RGB passes in there, because I think it actually kind of distracts from the overall thing, because like the overall aesthetic of this is that it's nice and bright and glowy, and adding these like dark, it's really just like an aesthetic thing. Like adding these dark saturated elements on top of it kind of pulls me out of that environment a little bit. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think just building up the images is totally fine. One thing to watch out for, and this is just a lighting thing, is when I was watching this, the top of this kind of creeps in right at the end. Like this up here, it's like a weird dark shape that kind of goes across top. Definitely not something you want to worry about changing, but just something to be aware of, just because it's a little bit distracting when you get that. I think this is a really nice shot. So like everything so far has been a keeper. This I actually think is your strongest work. This I actually think should go first. I think it's a nice little build-up. I think it's I think the structure of this shot, the way the warm tones of the characters really, really pop out. I think the composition is great. I think the shaping is great. I think the character design is fun. Overall, I think this. Let me hold off unless I forgot something, but I think this is your strongest one. The only thing about the breakdown is there's just something like I stopped it and I looked back because it was like something about this hard horizontal line. I would just maybe it's a matter of when you transition from this, transition to nothing, and then do that. And then it's also like this line cuts through all of these elements too. It's like throwing off my depth perception. I think maybe in the first layer, if possible, just leave the road out and just make those buildings. And then in the second one, add the road and then that, and then everything else is great. All right, so we're going through this. That's fun. This I don't think you need. I think it's not that the overall thing isn't great. I think it really is. It's just that first shot. I don't think you need this one, because this is beautiful, this is beautiful, and this is beautiful. And I think these are really like those could be first on your reel too. I don't think you need this shot. Although I like the tool, and I think you can start showing this, and then show this, and then really kind of you can sell it that way. And then that one too. This one's crazy. This one's really cool. Is it called Mega Brick or Mecha Brick? Is it Mecha Brick? Might be Mecha Brick. If it is, just watch out. That might be a typo. Really cool stuff. I love. It's funny because like I don't. I'm not a coder, so I always think that these are just bananas. I think this is really cool. I do think that this image, like, that's fine. It's fine. It looks good. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I was just like, there's something about, like, I really want these light bulbs to have stronger interiors and not be so flat. Like, same with these over here. And just like a stronger, like, if you had a chance to go, I don't know if you lit this or have access to this, but I would go back, and there's a few things that we can do to make the lighting a little bit more dynamic. But in terms of like a demonstration of a tool, really, really, really strong stuff. This shot I don't think you need, because the other stuff's good. This one's not. This was nice. This shot I don't think is as strong as what's about to come. Yeah, this one's really nice. Yeah, maybe these three are good. I don't think you need the breakdown of it. This is really nice. This with the teacup. This could be an introduction shot too. That's a cute way to end it. Yeah, you know what? Maybe, you know what? I think I would end it on these two or something. Not that I don't like this character. It's just like, this is stronger lighting than this. And yeah, but I mean, overall, your work is great. You've got strong character lighting. You've got different styles. You've got all this stuff. So it's just a matter of like the little tweaks that I would make to improve it. And that would be, but like all that stuff is pretty much window dressing. You've got a good sound body of work. Let's see, while we are in here, I just want to point out Sylvain, who didn't ask for a critique because we're pretty much done with this one. He knows what he's got, but just a really cool project from a lighting student at one of our lighting students who worked with, we work with anim school students to get animations sometimes, and he took it, added some like fun upward lighting, a lot of warmth, a lot of specularity, lots of glow. So just a really cool project going on over here. And I just want to take a moment to congratulate Sylvain because I know that you worked long and hard on this one. All right, let's see who else we got today. Checking the Zoom window over here. Cecilia is here. Hey, Cecilia, how's it going? And Fran is here, and oh yes, Daniel is here. Thank you. You're very welcome, Daniel. Okay, so let's go to Fran, and then we will go to Cecilia. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Oh, weird. Man, my Photoshop stinks sometimes. Let me close this real quick and relaunch. Give me just 1 second. All right. See if that will work this time. Here we go, launching Photoshop, and away we go. Okay, loading everybody up here. Okay, let me go ahead and close my window here just in case. All right. Fran, there we go. All right, Fran. So we've got your couple images here. We'll work with this one because I think this is. I think that the framing on this one, you can go more vertical with it, just because it's an elongated character with a hat and everything, and do it like a full body shot. I think that would be better with this one. But the lighting notes are going to be the same for the most part. So overall, when I look at this, the main thing that I see that I really want to work on. By the way, I love this little smoke that's going on back here, back behind him. I think that's really cool. It's the yellow color. It's just too saturated and it's too strong. And through the window, it's too consistent. It would be nice to get some shapes out there to break that up a little bit. And then, like I'll show you. We'll just do this. And it'll get dingy, actually. But like maybe something a little bit warmer like that. Or even just brighter. Saturate up here. Like that. But something just like a little bit on the warmer side. And you could and definitely go brighter because it is like an outside window. So maybe something a little bit more like that. Problem is when I desaturate a JPEG, it just gets gray. The other thing that I would really do is diffuse or add a little bit of glow to these light rays that are coming through. They're a great idea. And it would also be a little bit denser back behind the character, almost from a compositional standpoint, almost make it seem like the fog works out really well behind a character because you're able to layer it, and it creates just kind of like a wall of a simple shape and allows the character's details to pop forward. And you wouldn't see as many of these like dark values up here. And then the key is at that point you kind of scrape some of it off the character, so it's not like you don't want too much of the volumetric light physically on the character, so that the darker values of the character pop off over this brighter kind of haze. I really love the shaping that you're getting on the stairs, kind of coming up the stairs this way. It looks really nice. There's a strange shape right here, and I'm not quite sure what that is, because it looks like there's nice shaping coming up here, but then there's this odd triangle. So I just watch out for that. But like soft shaping going up here. I think you can darken a little bit in the corners down here and here, kind of really focus into the center, and then possibly get a slight bit more shaping on the hat in through here. It's a little bit static. But yeah, I think other than that, looking good. Try and get some more specularity on the wings, and then watch out for this like little bit of some kind of light or something kind of creeping through on his chin there. It's kind of thrown up. There's like all this warmth and then like a little touch of coolness in there. Right. All right. So now we've got Cecilia. Cece, this is, you did this in Unreal, right? I think that's what you were saying in the, yeah, cool. Really great stuff. Like your reference is on point. You're matching it really well. The biggest thing that I would change is how bright it is outside here. I think you can go brighter outside, actually both of these. Go ahead, just delete that and just say this. Oop. That's not what I wanted. Now we can go. I think we can go as much as like that much brighter. Oof, too much. Outside those windows. Just because if you think about it from like an exposure standpoint, when you're exposing something for a shot, you're looking for the full value range from darks to whites, and I think that you can push that a little bit stronger. The plants over here are a little bit glowy. I would like to see them maybe more rimlet, and then get some more. You can do some more. The way that this light over here has a lot of transmittance and a lot of like glowiness in the plant, that can come down, but it can come up a little bit in through here. I should say I really love how you're getting a bunch of small shapes in here in your lighting. It's creating a lot of detail and a lot of interest. That's working out really well. And then down in here, like in this corner, I would just darken it overall. Like you can see there's like, there's some like harder shaping down there, in that there's light coming on top, but like it's getting real dark on the sides. And then, but just down in here, just kind of like start to really darken that off and flank that off the way that it is down here, right? I like that that's vignetted and kind of pushing us back into space. And same deal, I would diffuse and soften the light rays a little bit in here. But overall, I think it's looking nice. I think this is a big step from the last time that we saw it. Just check to see if there's anything else we can pull out of the reference. This is nice too. Do you see how on this wood paneling here, it's like a subtle bit of specularity? And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for you to pick up something like that in here, maybe on the table or one of these objects in here, just like something to pick up some detail around the edges would be really, really nice. But I think that would be a strong way to go there. But good work, good progress. Let's check over in on Facebook. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Oh, I missed one. Dang it. Let's check this real quick. All right, so over on Facebook, we have all right, so you're there. So we've got Clau, Fran. Oh, Fran, you're there. Hi, you guys are in both spots. Matt Hicks and Yang are there. All right, so Clau, we will get you first. Actually, we've got, sorry, Yang, you're already up, so you're right here. Beautiful stuff. Really, really great. Love that you're adding some cool light into this scene from where we were seeing it in Chris Ayer's reference here. I do think somebody commented on this. I do think that these areas in the book, right in here and in the ground, are getting a little bit too bright. And it's just because, like, as I squint at the image, like if I blurred this up, you'll see that your eye is kind of drawn. Like if I was to kind of blur this, like where's my eyes going here and it's going down here, right? And we kind of want it to go in on the character. So how do we do that? We can either take those bright points and put them back behind the character and allow his darker shapes to stand out, or we can tone those down a little bit and then getting a little bit more light on him. Now, because of his darkness overall, we're not, like, he's not going to ever be super bright over dark. And because it's nighttime, it would be weird that he would be, that the background behind him would get super bright. So we can just massage that in. So basically what I would do is I would tone this down, try and get it more framing around him, and then allow like the basics of his dark shape to go through. In terms of other notes, just there's some dark, sharp shapes over here. Looks like maybe a rim light is casting a shadow onto those books, just something to be aware of there. I think his, I love the specularity on his face. I love it. Love his eye value. I like the way the wings are looking. I just think that like the diffuse in his face can get a little bit brighter. Let's see if we can just raise that up. And then let's go ahead and tone down the saturation. So we tone down the saturation. And then let's see. So it's not much, but just a little bit more to kind of get it to pop. But it's really, because really what we want to be focusing on is not only his face, but just like right in here is looking really nice. And then the only, yeah, I like the floating particulates in the air. I would maybe consider getting one in focus a little bit, just to be in there. Love this subtle amount of shape back here, like just like it's nothing really. It's just a couple of like blurry abstract shapes. Just throwing like some value back there gives us a hint at the environment. I think that's really cool. So keep going. Yeah, this is great. I think you're doing really, really nice work. And then maybe try and get a little bit more bump, or just some more texture into the hat, because it's a little bit flat, but not much. Just like a little bit more texture in there, and you're good. Really great stuff. Okay, so Frau. Did I miss you? You know, I think, let me see. Let me grab yours real quick. Sorry. I swore I saw yours earlier. Just one sec. Oh, no, we got Fran. Oh, Fran, that's why. Oh, no, it's Fran that was here, right? Frau, if you're here, let me know. Yell at me, and I'll get to you. So Matt Hicks, you are here as well. So Matt made a comment that made me giggle today. I was going through all these, and I was kind of like in serious work mode, and Matt said that, what was it, like his little Yoda fangs? Is that the comment that you made for this one? And it just made me laugh. I don't know why Yoda fangs made me laugh. So you were using Houdini, you're learning the software. I think that's great. Overall, I think you just like, there's just more dynamic range than you can get. Because like right now, we're only really isolating down to like the bottom third. If we kind of increase these values, really get it into something somewhere in here where we can really take advantage of it. Toothy Yoda, that's what it was. Toothy Yoda made me laugh. There we go. So we get this a little bit brighter. I think we can push some of the warmer tones in his skin just a little bit harder. Like get him up into there. Get his eye maybe a little more saturated. Kind of flank off the bottom of him here. So this is a little bit brighter. We're nice and close, so let's just add a little bit of diffusion in here. And then the softness, too much. Take this down back here. And then just add a little bit of a background in there to get some variation that's like super out of focus. And I think you got some to work with, because I think, you know, definitely you've got the structure and the basis of really good shaping. You got the materials are working really well. Everything's working great. It's just a matter of really pushing those values and getting and adjusting things into place there. But you're off to a good start. Tian Momo, you're here as well with your powerful smiley face star. It's good to see you, Joy. All right. Beautiful stuff. So I actually included, because it's interesting. I love how this works out. Like something I totally would never think of, but both you and Dana are doing these stained glass things. And I'm like these are so smart. They're so intelligent. And I think that there were, and I wanted to talk about yours together, because I think that there are things that are working in one that you both can learn from. So I'll talk about them both at the same time. So I think your character lighting, the shaping and the structure of the character lighting is working really well here. I love, again, you know, as we start to see these characters and light them more and more, it's really all about getting this pocket, like this little triangle on his face to pop out. And you're doing a really, really nice job of that. Just like allowing the light to kind of like catch over his shoulder there and wrap down, getting some good light here. I think maybe the wings darker, more specularity. This green in the foreground is a little bit too saturated. It's just because it kind of breaks. Like we really don't see that color anywhere else in the image. And so it almost just wants to make me like take it down take it down a little bit, and then just kind of like, you know, it can still have some of its hint of green value, just not quite so much that it's pulling us out of, we don't want it to pop too much from the saturation. Now, I think that both of you are doing a really strong job of getting, you know, like pools of this stained glass in there, and like looking at your reference, yeah, it's like, it's really nice. And one of the things, let's see where to go. So one of the things about it that yours is doing well, Joy, that I think Dana can benefit from, is that yours is a little bit sharper at the base, like closer in here, and then it gets a little bit faded out as it goes away, like you can see in the reference. You know, like sharper shapes here, more faded shapes, softer shapes as we go away. But the one thing that I think that Dana is doing really well, that I think you could maybe take a look at and try and get, is this fall off of value coming across the room. I love how it's like brighter here, and if we just follow it along the top, it's just like, it gets like the value gets like lighter or darker, where in yours, it's kind of, it's either in the light or it's not, right? There's no kind of like fade off to it. I think that's, but I love the concept. I love the way you're going. I love this little bit of subsurface scattering. It might be a little bit too saturated, but it's good. Like your structure is there. Now it's just refining some things. And like I said, like allow it to be brighter in here. Like, do you see how you've got some light coming in from back this way? I think that's a good thought. I don't think it's helping us here though. I think I would like to keep the light pulled in this area and then just allow that to fade into darkness back there. And I think that would be good overall. And then for Dana, like I said, I really love your environment lighting. Look at Joy, the way that she was able to get that pocket of light around the face there. That's and kind of the hero color on the character as well. She is very, very good at color balance. and kind of really, but yeah, Joy, in all your work, your color is there, and you have this way of being both saturated on hero point that is really nice. You create really nice, clean images. I noticed it on your cityscape shot, on your sci-fi city, and this one as well. Your colors are really on point. So so Dana, I would try and match that with a hero color, and then I think that you would be in a good spot there. And then looking at the reference too, I do like that these are really sharp, but it's a little bit too much. And like I said, go ahead and throw that stuff out of focus back there. I may have mentioned that in the last one, and that might have been one of the notes that you said you weren't unable to get to at this point. But yeah, it's looking really great overall. Clau. All right, so for this one, let's see, we've got. It's interesting because like. And like I grabbed this one real quick because we've got clearly the sky light, like the sun is back in here, right? So sun should be shining down here. Let's see if we can get the wrap a little bit around the face, a little bit of light in that triangle. And then other than that, it's just kind of rimming it up. We're losing detail in the subsurface here. So try and get some like veininess or creepiness in there. Now, the reason why I was saying it was interesting is because light is coming back from behind this building, hitting the character, like your positioning on it is good here. But I'm seeing lots of light on like it's coming from this side of the building. Like there's some sort of artificial light source, like something behind this that's shining light that way. I think your entire structure should be all about light coming from this direction. So rims on these buildings here, they're looking a little bit flat and dark. And instead of light hitting that side, really kind of hitting it up on these corners and edges. And then maybe making, I'm trying to think of how we can do this archway as a framing element for the character. Like if we rotate the camera around a little bit to the right and allow this archway door, like this can come over here and then this can fall like on this side of him. And then the character falls right in the middle to kind of frame him up. Because what that'll allow him to do, if he's far enough away from the wall in this direction, we can, it can be as dark as this, but then these rim lights and light values can make him bounce off. Now, one thing to take into consideration is we've got light coming down here and bouncing upward. So I think that you can get a little more bounce light. I think you can get a little more bounce light both on this building, because like it would be nice to get some variation top to bottom the way that you are in here. Like that's a nice shape in there. And also back in here actually. It'd be nice to get a similar shaping there, and then you can use that as a justification to get some more bounce light up on the character there if you want. But yeah, that's how I would structure that one. And then check your color palette against some reference too. Just make sure that, because it's feeling a little desaturated yellow to me, and I just want to make sure that that's the look that you want to go for. All right, let's close this one out. Let's close out Dana and Joy. All right, let's see if anyone else is. Yeah, no problem, guys. No problem at all. This is my pleasure. All right. Will is up. So we'll go, yeah, Will and your reference here. So one of the things, let's go back to the original here. So when I was looking at this, first off, the character looks amazing. Looks so good. I don't really have much to critique on the character lighting on his face, especially. I think his body can go maybe a little bit darker. Just try that. Let's see. Just from, again, mocking up purposes. If I take this a little bit darker, then right there. Then it just creates a little bit more focus on the face. Yeah, I think that's, and then you can, like, every time I do that with the levels, it just makes it a little more saturated, and I don't just want to make sure that you're not going that way with it. But yeah, just darkening that a little bit to keep the focus on the face, but the shaping is there. The maybe a little more specularity in the wing, but really other than that, like the face is just like spot on, looking great. Now, the area that I think that you can improve on is more depth of field, get a little more blur back there, and number two is the framing. So the composition is like I like the distance away. It's just like it's cutting him off kind of at the knees. I don't know if bats have knees, but his knees and kind of halfway up his hat. Did you think about making it taller and like more vertical, like an old, like it would be kind of like up in here and then down? I mean, not that then, but just bear with me here. Something. Kind of like this, but taller, to get his whole form. Maybe not cut off his tail. Maybe not cut that off, but like something like, think of it like an old portrait, and I think that would be very cool. But yeah, I think it's really, really beautiful, the work that you've been able to do there. Forgive me while I get a sip of water here. All right. And like I said, if anyone else is online, please scream at me. I'm checking these while I can. Let's see, where's my cursor? I lost my cursor. Okay, great. Till, so good improvements from the last time. I really like this specularity in the stone here. I still want to see effects from these windows on the ground, kind of like spilling around him. I like the color of the undercoat. It's still a little bit too strong given the lighting, because it's like the light's coming in from behind. I would just tone that down a little bit. And then for his face, just brighten it up and warm it up just a little bit. Because again, it's maybe some, like, again, roughed out, something a little bit more in that region, just to kind of get him to pop off a little bit from the coolness. Now, I don't think, it's not like we're trying to break his connection to the space and take him out of the environment. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're just trying to find very subtle ways to get him to pop a little bit. Because he still looks like he's in the space. He's still got cool light on him. It's just getting a little, like using touches of warmth wherever we can. And like having this window here and a little bit of light spilling on the ground will really help us sell that story. In terms of depth of field, it's all about the scale that you want to create. If this is like human size, then maybe just a tiny bit of depth of field back there. But if he's bat sized, if he's like, I don't know, 8 inches tall, you're going to want to create a little bit more. I would also maybe consider, up to you, either moving him forward a little bit or pushing the camera in to make him a little bit bigger in frame. Yeah. And then watch out for these sharper shadows. Just soften those up just a touch. Just because the moon light isn't actually light the way that sun is. It's a reflected light. It's like the largest reflection card in our life. Because it's actually catching light from the sun and bouncing it back down. So actually, in reality, the moonlight does cast a little bit of a softer shadow. Good job there. All right, this one's looking really nice. I think the one thing I would say about this, the two things I'm going to say about this. Number one is the coolness of the God rays coming in. I would consider warming those up a little bit, just because unless you're going for like an early morning dewy kind of a thing, like that it always would be a little bit on the warm side, just because the light that I'm seeing hitting this grass has like the kisses of yellow and warmth in it, and just the volumetric rays isn't lining up with that. The other thing and this is a subtlety thing, is just balancing the black points. We talk about this a lot in our courses. So it's the idea of, so what I'm seeing is like, and because of the volumetric light, it's kind of creeping very strongly into the foreground. So I'm looking at this stump, right? And the black point in here is pretty lifted because of this volumetric light, but back behind it, it's darker. In reality, this type of volumetric light wouldn't actually get this close to camera. It would be a step back behind it. So what you want to do is you want to make like this dark value, like that value, and then like flip flop them. So you want these darkers to be forward, because what that does to us visually is it allows us to create depth in the space, in the image. It allows us to step back in the space. And so I think by doing that, you can, because it's like, there's something about it that like it's feeling like things are getting closer and further away when I'm looking at it. And it's hard for me to distinguish why. And then when I break it down, I realize it's because of those black points. So just kind of go around and kind of focus in on that. And just like this is really nice down here for a foreground black point. And then, but just trying to get that in here and then a little bit in here too. And a lot of it's just a matter of scraping some of this volumetric light ray glow off the foreground and just allowing it to be in the background there. And then like this value way back in here should be lifted up higher. So there's that. Okay. All right. So Prasanth, this is, oh, you know what? It's funny. When I looked at this earlier, I didn't notice the mouse. And I'm wondering, so it's totally up to you how important the mouse is to the telling of the story. Because if we want to read it, we have to find a way to really get that to work. And the reason why I'm not seeing him is because he's getting lost in these shapes of the trash right in here. And what I would do what you would want to do is clear some of the clutter behind him and then think of a way to get him to contrast his values from the surrounding. So he's not in this warm light, so maybe it's cool over warm. Maybe it's tightening up this light, so it's just kind of like a pool of light coming down this way. And so that everything back behind it is dark. And his like little rim lights and warm, cool shaping across his left to right pops out. Maybe it's that, and then you wouldn't even have to move the geometry. Because I think, let's talk about the main elements of the story, right? There's the character and the wanted poster. So having a light kind of shine down and pocket in here would help sell that. And then maybe it's part of like having the mouse in there as well. So I think that might solve that. I want to get more shaping on the hat here. I feel like his skin tone might be a little too saturated for the scene. Just want to pull that back just a touch. Maybe like somewhere in there. And then like find ways to, because like you're setting up a really interesting story here. And just finding ways to highlight the main elements so that the audience isn't losing their eye around the scene. That would be my next main step for you on this one. And then, as always, just finding ways to get specularity into the costume. And I love that you're trying to get these emeralds on his costume to kind of glow. Just pull back on the saturation a little bit on those guys too. So really good there. Pedro. Oh, Pedro. Wait. Oh, did we lose it? Ah, yes. Okay. Pull this next to your reference. So I obviously not quite matching the reference yet, but the reason why I pulled this up was two reasons. One, I think it's a beautiful reference. I love it. It's gorgeous. Number two is I want to explain why I think it's so nice. There's a couple things going on that are really great. There is this just overall, like the structure of it and the leading lines are really nice on the composition. I love the shaping and the subtle from extreme white blown out sky to, because we're exposed down here for here. And like, it's almost like every step coming down these stairs is a different value, and it's allowing for this really nice subtle transition, not only of value, but of saturation of colors we get down into this space. And by the time we get down here, like there's even cool light hitting the cat. I love how we're using bounce light to create softness on the character because she's surrounded by white walls and pinks, and we're just allowing that to fuse up in there. I love the dapple of light in here. I think that's really cool. And yeah, just like a lot of, oh, and then like the softness coming along this wall, and just the overall color palette is really gorgeous stuff. So I think that's really, really nice. Oh, no problem, Prasanth. Sorry, I just saw that you said that you had some references in the original. Sorry, no problem at all. Sometimes it's actually when in reviewing, because like I feel like you were getting a little bit further away from the reference anyway. So no problem at all. Let's see. Okay, so Abishek was, I think this was an Unreal one too. Cool stuff. More ways of plussing this. One would be to add like light beams from the headlights over here. The other one was just like the paint on this is looking a little bit flat. Like I get that there is this line here, but I want to feel more of this shape a little bit by creating some more reflection cards in the sides. And then also like this is kind of a wobbly line, and that's not what we want to see in like whenever you look at car advertisements, they're always like super sleek and super, like all the lines are just like, they're all like Nike swooshes. They're just like beautiful and like, you know, really nice. The other element too is yeah. And it's just like just more things around it to reflect, make sure they're getting nice, clean, straight lines, and more reflections in the windows. This is looking nice down here, like the reflection in the surface. I do like that a lot. Also, it might be beneficial to add a little bit of, try it, like just like a little bit of value around here to create like a silhouette around the main object there. And then also, I'm realizing this now. I'm looking at the car paint on the car. It's feeling a little bit like dingy green in some of these areas as well. So just watch out for that. Like really kind of make sure it's nice and it's poppy. And there's also, and I don't know about Unreal, but there's like a coat, like there's like a coat that exists on car paint. Like there's the base level, and then on top of it there's a coat, and there's sometimes gonna be like very fine speckle in the car paint itself. So I don't know, this looks like a Mustang. I don't know if Ford does that, but just check some reference to see. I actually don't see it too often on a yellow car, but it does exist sometimes. All right, so you also have another one too. Yeah, let's get to this one too. All right, so I like the composition better. I like the like I'm more focused back into this space now. The biggest thing is that I'm not sold that these are neon lights. A little bit here in this one, but this doesn't feel like they're glowing. Like I want to see a brighter element in there. Like these feel good, but the orange lights feel very flat. And then this sign here, I can't tell if that's self-illuminating or if it's being hit by a light. But some things I really like. I like these reflections here in these garage doors. I think that's working out really well. I like the use of color in here. I want to see if you're going to sprinkle this red in like right on the edge, which you may just want to bump that down just like a nudge. I would want to see just a little bit, like a touch of red spill on some of this stuff too. Also like the shaping on this fence down here. I just want to see more detail out of what's going on in our main subject back here. That's it on that one, but that one's coming along well too. Morrow, like beautiful stuff here. I want to see some more variation in the background. It feels like everything is kind of one texture, one material back there, and just kind of vary those up just a little bit. The character's saturation level feels a little bit strong to me. Right. Just pull back on the reds a little bit, especially. Kind of get them up in there. More specularity on the wings. I love, this is really nice stuff, guys. It's a really nice job of using this volumetric light to lead our eye to the character without allowing it to go over top of him. And that kind of, this is what I'm talking about. It kind of lifts the black points, the backgrounds, and allows his black points to stand out forward. So really great job there. And then I would almost try and creep some more of this light, this warm light onto his nose. And then, yeah, I would start with that. And then maybe just like a little bit more shaping on the hat up in there too. Some more key light kind of hitting and wrapping around there. But yeah, overall, great job. Kislay. So I think this is great. I think you did a really nice job. This is a really beautiful character. I think I would love to have this for the asset library. I think this is a pretty ideal human character. So really great job with that. I don't know if you sculpted him. Let me know in the comments if you did. I would love to know more about this guy. The things that I would really, and I remember you saying in your post that you were struggling with this, and it's hard. Like TV, like frontal TV light is hard. The way that I've always done it is, and I learned this from live action sets, is that when they're lighting TV, they usually use a smaller light source, like a spotlight, and then they'll always favor it to one side or the other. And it looks like you're favoring it just slightly to this side. And I think that's smart. Now, the areas that I think that you can improve upon are just some subtle things. Like number one is this pair of pants here. I think you can actually go darker and lose some of the saturation on them. Just because it, like, visually, it starts to feel like a continuation of his body. I know that sounds dumb, but just by putting them in a little bit more shadow there, it allows them to fall back into space a little bit more and allows us to remain focused on him. The other thing that I would like to see you do is to get a reflection of a television screen in his eyes. The position of his eye dings is perfect. I think that you have an opportunity here to not be like a perfect circle and actually make like a little TV screen. If you want some reference, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs has a lot of TV reference in the eyes when he's looking at his screen. But I love, there's a lot of things I like about this. I love the subtle rim lights you're getting on his hair. I love the shaping up into his face, like the way that there's slightly darker values leading up into here. I think that's looking really great. His overall expression, everything about the structure of this scene is looking really, really great. And yeah, I think you should be proud of this one. I think this is a great one. Mr. Lopez, loving it. It's looking great. I think that we can make the tree a little bit more contrasty to get it to pop off. And the only other note that I would give you at this point is to just make the water a little greener to match the environment. Because again, water isn't blue. It's only blue because it reflects a blue sky. And in this case, it would just kind of reflect the environment a little bit more. So I would just shift it a little bit more green. And that's the only real adjustment I would make. I think you're doing a really great job. Love the values on the characters. Love the value on the sheep. It's a fun shot. It's a really fun shot you got going. All right. Oh, Eric. Yes. Okay. Eric, anyone for our lighting students, make sure you're posting. So we've got, I know it's confusing and I apologize for this. We've got our lighting community, which is for public, anyone can join it, but the lighting students is for anyone who's enrolled in our lighting for animation bundle. And for those guys, I do daily critiques. So Eric, I'm sorry if I missed this, but just make sure you're posting in the other one, and that way we'll make sure to get you. Okay. I'm not sure what this reference is from. Oh, that's funny. I'm usually pretty good about this. Okay. So in the reference, so actually the reference is suffering a little bit from the same problem as the actual scene, which is just like a lack of contrast and a lack of like value. Same thing here. It's like, I really want to push stuff brighter. I really want to get some white elements in there. So at this point, I would I would say that we need to find a way to get the character to pop more. Because value-wise, like if we do our little trick to look at luminosity, which is to drop a black layer and then screen it with the color. You know, we're seeing that like it's a little bit darker than the surroundings, but it's not like there's this line. There's this line that's kind of cutting right through the character's head, and it's like there's not enough of a difference. So yeah, so I would drop the camera angle a little bit so that that line goes down in his body. I would defocus the background because we're looking closer at the character if you can. I know we're still working through some of the challenges. So if you haven't gotten there yet, absolutely no worries. And then really consider, because it looks like you're trying to do a little bit of cool over warm. And I would challenge you to do a little bit more of a value shift as well. So get either the background to be brighter and then more rim light on the character and get the character to pop off that way. But that's my biggest thing for your next iteration is just get the character to pop off more. And then we can go from there. And then just watch out for sharp shadows. You know, make sure you got some radius on there. And but yeah, I think we're doing, because again, the reason why this character stands off so strongly is it's the hero color of a white character over these warm and cool saturation on the background. So it's actually the desaturated value of the character is able to stand off. So you might be able to pull that off too if you make some more. If you make the stitching, the fur on the knitted bunny a little bit whiter as opposed to gray, and then get more saturation on the surroundings, allowing the desaturated value of the character to pop forward. But yeah, yeah, no, it's just it's a good first step. It's just I think that's the next place to go. Doris, this is cool. This is looking really cool. I love the contrast between the green light and the red light. I think it's working really well. The background, I guess I would put a little bit more out of focus just because it's like, or something, because it's feeling very, it flattens it out. It's almost like I don't believe that this is far away back there. And it's mostly because I'm not seeing a stepping back, like we were talking about black points earlier in the critique, a stepping back of black points as you go. Oh, it's from the Toy Story short. Nicholas said that. Oh, you're right. It is a Toy Story short. Nicholas, you're very good. Got it. And Joy got it too. You guys win. Way to win. Okay. Well done. See, you guys are smarter than me. You don't need me. You guys are smarter than me. So I want to see a little bit more of the red value up here in the hat. The subsurface on the ear isn't really justified in this lighting example, so I would pull that back slightly. And then I'm wondering, maybe it's a matter of getting. So my eye is being pulled here because, my eye is being pulled to this pillar a little bit more because it's pretty dark and contrasty. Like the dark points again are darker than the character. So I would lift that up too. And like this one too, just like lift those, like add some more color value in there if you can, and really allow us to focus in on here, because that way, and then if we increase the contrast just a little bit on the character, then that'll help him pop out just a little more. Let's actually up the brights as well. Something a little bit more like that, with a little less saturation. Let's see. Yeah, I think that would be a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more kind of focus into this region here. But your structure is there, your idea is there. You're getting good shaping. There's like the way that you're using these pillars as a framing element is working out really nice, and it's kind of leading. That was a bad line. Leading back in kind of like subtly leaning in here and causing us to kind of go back towards the characters, working out really well. I'm just wondering, okay, last thing. I'm just wondering maybe if we start to tilt the camera up just a little bit, just like pull it up just a little bit more, just because I want to see just a slight bit more of his face. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. If you don't like, that might be a bad suggestion. But I think you might want to just try that just a little bit. All right, and last of the evening, we got Daniel. So Daniel is doing some cool stuff with our alley. So I want to see. It's interesting because you have a kind of a you have a couple things going on here because it's like first off, I mean it's nice. Like there's some beautiful softness, some really great value in there, dynamic lighting, lots of visual interest going on. And again, it depends on the story, but it feels like two very different lit environments. So you've got this one out here where there's just lots of, like the key to fill ratio out here is very low. You know, like here's the brights up here, here's the brights up here, here's the darks down here. And they're not that much different. And there's a lot of softness in the transition. It's a very gradual, it's a very graceful type of transition. Now, the second we cross this line, everything changes, which is the corner of that door. So now it's like super contrast. This light doesn't even really light up this stuff. Like there is an extreme fall off of light. And we're and it's like, it's almost like this area has become demonic, which again, if that's a story, that's cool. But I would veer this foreground a little bit more towards what you're seeing in the background. I like the idea of there being distinct sections within the scene, but they just feel a little bit too different. So maybe just allow this red light to fill in some of these values a little bit more, allow it to kind of rattle around in there. And then the other thing I would watch out for, go ahead and turn this light off. I don't think that's really doing you any favors. And then watch out. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's like, because I know that there's the ivy wall there, but it almost looks like a lot of saturated colors right here. And I would almost, yeah, I mean, I would just A, desaturate those, and then B, just kind of make them go away in the darkness just a little bit. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, I know why, because I didn't copy the layer. But yeah, I would just make those go away, and that way it would allow us to focus in here. Because like for some reason my eye just kept getting trickled over here. And then I would say this about, it doesn't really matter here so much, but back in this window back here, just throw like a cube in there or something to catch some shadow, so it looks like there's a little bit of life back there. But that would be it. All right, guys, I think that's everyone. So coming in just over an hour. I usually try to keep these within an hour. Came close. Thank you guys so much. Oh, your nephew watches it on repeat. See, yeah, kids are good for that. Yeah, I have been watching, because of the quarantine with my son, who is 18 months, he does not care about movies. So really it's just me watching. I've been rewatching so many animated movies. I don't know why I think that's better for him. Because I'm also watching The Watchmen right now, which is an excellent show. I didn't even read the graphic novel, nor did I see the first movie. Fantastic show. Highly recommend. But that's not why we're here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. No, it's my pleasure. I love doing this. Like I said, I will, next week is going to, oh yes, make sure you get your submissions in this week. Before our next critique is the 30th of the month, and that's when the Sir Desmodus Rotundus is due. Make sure you get those in. And next Friday, a week from tonight, I'll be announcing the winner of the challenge, and it will be our last quarantine lighting critique, live lighting Friday night critique, because as I prepare to have a daughter. So thank you all so much again, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. All right, guys, until next time, let me go ahead and stop sharing this, and then yes. So I can say, until next time, happy lighting, everybody.